Alright, Unit 5, Lesson 4. Let's rock and roll. So, as we go through this one here, for your notes, a complex number. This is our goal here today. So a complex number is any power that can be written in the standard form, okay, of A plus BI, where A and B are real numbers and I is the imaginary unit. Okay, so if I get one like this, 7 plus 2i, it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy overall to do. Your A is the 7, and your BI is going to be that 2i. If I get 1 minus 5i here, the 1 is your A, the minus 5i is your BI. The minus 5 is the B, and the I is obviously I. If I get 8i, really guys, isn't that just 0 plus 8i? So your A is nothing, it's a 0, and your BI is 8i. If I get a negative 4, the A is negative 4, and I don't have anything imaginary. So your BI is 0. There's nothing there. If you get a fraction like this, yeah, folks, you got to split it up. You got negative 2 sevenths, that's your A. And the BI has got to be 3i over 7. Or 3 sevenths I, your choice. Okay, so you can either put the whole thing over or not. So, to add complex numbers here is what we're going to talk about. You have to just add like terms like you always have. Numbers with numbers, all that stuff. Radicals when they were radicals with radicals. So, same thing holds true still. But now we're dealing with imaginary numbers. So we add like terms. So find the sum of the real components. In other words, add the A's together. And the B parts when you have to get to it. And find the sum of the imaginary components. So your final answer, bottom line, has to be in what we call, like I've been saying, A plus BI form. All right? And generally, we don't write BI plus A. We do the A plus BI form. Okay? All right, so let's take a look at some examples. All right, folks, so here we go. Let's take care of this. We're going to actually do and add complex numbers, etc. So keep in mind, you combine the like terms just like it was before. So you combine the 7 and 8 to give you 15. And you add 5i and a minus 3i to give you 2i. And that way it is still an A plus BI form. I go to number 2, pretty straightforward as well. 2 and a minus 8, that's a minus 6. And 3i and a minus 6i is a minus 3i. Can't do anything else. It is also in the correct form. Then I've got some square roots here a little bit. Big deal. I got 3 and 10. They make 13. Now, I got to figure out what these are. Well, keep in mind, what's the square root of negative 64? Well, square root of 64 is 8. And the negative, of course, we know under our radicals, a negative 1, so that's an I. And now over here, square root of 25. Negative 25 will be a 5i. So I get an 8i, and don't lose that minus sign right there. Minus 5i is 3i. Put them together, and bingo, that's what you got. Pretty straightforward, nice and easy. Well, let's move on. Alright, and to add this one now, a little more complex. Same thing. What is 1 plus a negative 3? Well, that's a negative 2. Then I got 7i radical 2's minus 6i radical 2's. Notice, if these weren't both radical 2's, and they both didn't have the I, we can't even combine them. They're not like terms, but because we got like, it's kind of like saying 7xy And you're going to add that to a negative 6xy. Okay, those we can combine, but I can't add 6x to 7y or anything like that. So if I got 7i radical 2's and I'm going to add a negative 6 to that or subtract 6i radical 2's, bottom line is I come up with 1 positive I radical 2. If you want to put the 1 out in front, be my guest. Okay? And that's your final answer there. Now, when we go to subtraction, it's basically the same scenario here, okay? We need to use a negative. Okay, I'll read that. And for most of you, we call that keep change change. So KCC comes into place. So if you take a look at this, I got this term minus the second term, so what do? I change the adding, or subtracting to an adding, change the sign of this one, change the sign of this one, and now we can combine. What's 5 plus a negative 2? It's equal to 3. What's 8i plus a negative 2i? That's equal to 6i. Can't combine anymore, I'm done. Now, could you have done straight out subtraction? Sure, you could have. You could have said, what's 5 minus 3 is 2, and 8i minus 2i is 6i. That's fine. Either way, whatever way you handle. But a lot of you guys need to do that keep change change. Number 6, same thing. Got the first term minus the second one, so I'm going to keep change change. So, kept the first one, change, change, and change. So now, what's 4 plus 12? Bingo, 16. And what's 10i and a minus 20i? Minus 10i. And we've got our answer. So let's keep rolling. Alright, now on this one, in number 9, you're going to read the thing. It does say subtract this from that. And so let's go back to an earlier concept in 8th and 9th grade. And let's make sure you understand what you're doing here. You're taking subtract this first one from the second. So what you're really doing is writing down the first one, 9 minus the square root of negative 36, which I'm going to change into 6i right now, because we know negative is the I and the square root of 36 is 6. And we're going to take that and subtract the first one from it. So we're going to subtract, which will be 8, and then it will be minus, and that's going to be a 10i. So use that old trick with keep change change. So I will keep the first one, change to addition, and change signs on both. And now like terms, what is 9 and a minus 8? That's 1. What's a minus 6i and a plus 10i? Plus 4i. And bingo, subtraction really isn't that hard. Second one, number 10, subtract from first again. Here we go. So we're going to do the first one. Our second one gets listed first. Negative 9 plus 4i radical 5. A little harder of a problem. And we're going to subtract the 7 plus 3i radical 5. Now, this is only going to work because luckily the square roots are the same, square roots of 5. And we got imaginary with it. So 3i radical 5s, 4i radical 5. So we can add and subtract. Those are like terms. And of course the negative 9 and 7 out front is also like terms. So keep change change, keep the first one, changed addition, change and change. So you got to change signs. So what's a negative 9 plus a negative 7? Negative 16. And what is 4 i's of this radical 5 plus 3i radical 5? So really what is 4 of those I radical 5s and plus a negative, 3 radical 5. So what's 4 and a minus 3? It's going to be plus 1. I don't need to write the 1, so just plus I radical 5. If you want to put the 1 in front, that is fine. Okay, moving on.